of station staff, management, and advertisers.
It's time for the most interactive radio program in Las Vegas today. It's time for Pushing the Limits with Brian Shapiro. Brian will talk sports, politics, entertainment, and anything that matters to you. Feel free to call Brian at 702-221-7283.
You want answers? I want the truth!
Now, Pushing the Limits, here's Brian Shapiro.
Oh, what's up, everybody? It's a very happy Leprechaun Tuesday. Yes, it is. Welcome to Pushing the Limits. You could be listening on the FMM dial, of course, the Occupy Democrats Network, the Washington Press Network. We're on TikTok. We're on YouTube. We're on Twitch. We're on X. We are everywhere. And thank you so much for joining us. Check out the new website, which is pushingthelimits.live. Again, the website is pushingthelimits.live. Sign up for my free newsletter. You can buy some merchandise on there, donate, do whatever you please. But we ask you, please check out the website and check it out. Tell me what you think. Pushingthelimits.live. We have a jam-packed show lined up for you today. I've been getting into it with some people on social media in regards to this white boy summer. I don't know if you've heard of this. And yesterday and over the weekend, Charlie Kirk's Turning Point USA, they were giving out these white boy summer hats and shirts. And I've been getting into it with these right-wing news anchors, as you call them, news, and other people on social media. We'll talk a little bit about that. Breaking news, we've learned that Justin Timberlake has been pulled over for a DUI. The way he behaved and who he called is very funny and pathetic. We'll talk about that in hour number 2. I'm not a Justin Timberlake fan. So we have a lot of audio to play, too, because I also want to dissect again, all these people on the far right that are saying, Joe Biden's in the bunker. He's got Alzheimer's. He had to be held off the stage. You hear this nonsense over and over again, but I can destroy that argument in 30 seconds. We'll get to that as well. But before we get to all this stuff and why Charlie Kirk says he's a champion for black people, we'll get to that in a moment. We are graced by his presence today. It's been a little while. I thought he was retiring from the Pushing the Limit show, but he's back. The residential liberal from PTL gracing us with his presence to mix it up with callers today, and I look forward to that. It is Christian Wynn joining us, or also known as C. Wynn, joining us in studio today. Chris is here. He's wearing his blue, shark blue. What would you call that?
It's more kind of like pastel blue, button down, not even button down, more like a polo I'm sporting. But we can all see, all of us that are watching here at PTL Live here in Las Vegas. You're wearing your Celtic colors, my friend.
I am.
Brian Shapiro. For those you don't know, and I know you follow Brian on social media, you've been saying all along, all season long, that this Boston Celtics team is going to win a championship.
Thank you for giving me the credit for that.
Very, you really went on a limb there, Mr. Shapiro, when it came to the Celtics winning it all.
Well, they weren't the favorite.
I'm having some fun with you right now.
They weren't
some fun. They were one of the top 2 teams in the NBA. They were essentially one of the top teams in the NBA all season long.
Impossible.
So congrats to your Boston Celtics on
Half-hearted.
winning a championship. And yes, you're sporting. I like it. I love it. You got the Celtics. Of course, as a Detroit Pistons fan, it was a little bit bittersweet to kind of watch that go down last night. I will give one quick congratulations, being someone who went to Grand Ledge High School in Michigan, as Al Horford, in his 17th season, Brian Shapiro, captures his first NBA title. Of course, he won 2 championships at the University of Florida in college basketball, but 17 years it took him to win a championship in the NBA, and of course, he was on that team with the Celtics last night. So congrats to him and to the Boston Celtics. I congratulate him for about 5 seconds, Numchuck and Brian, and then I went back to being a Detroit Pistons fan, and I'm positive, right, Brian, that Laker fans are just over-the-top joyous because of Boston winning a championship. But yes, I had to chime in off the top of the show here because you sported, my friend. You're in studio sporting the gear, so that's why I did it at the top.
I just did a Joe Biden, and I was just looking at my watch to see how long it took for you to congratulate the Boston Celtics. About 3.5 minutes, so not too bad.
Well, I was congratulating you, too, because you're a fan. So.
Half-hearted compliment there, of course. Brian, he was one of the... They were
Anyway,
let's get to...
Not half-hearted.
Yeah, fair enough. Let's get to the real news, starting with this. I've been getting into it with a lot of people about this white boy summer stuff. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, at Charlie Kirk's Turning Point, I guess you could call it Klan rally. I don't know what else I would call it. I've been calling a lot of things Klan rallies lately, but Charlie Kirk put this on. Donald Trump spoke over the weekend, and then they showed this white boy summer like poster flag, I guess, and then they were giving out hats and shirts and stuff. So White Boy Summer is a song created by Chet Hanks. He's a talentless buffoon. I don't listen to his music. But white nationalists have embraced this. People like Nick Fuentes, who is a known Nazi and Nazi sympathizer, they've coined this phrase and they've all used it. Why? Well, I think it's pretty simple and it's evident in the name of it, right? So I have all these people on the right, at least some of them, that are going after me saying, why does everything have to be race? This has nothing to do with racism. So I try to turn it on them, Chris, and I say to them, what if a black supremacist, I don't even know if there's any such thing as that, but somebody who's a racist, who's black, coined the phrase Black Boy Summer. And then at a Democrat rally where, I don't know, Vice President Kamala Harris, who happens to be black, was there. And she started tossing out Black Boy Summer shirts and Black Boy Summer hats. What do you think Republicans would be saying about that?
Their minds, they'd be going nuts. Their heads would be exploding. We talk about this all the time, Brian, don't we? With respect to the hypocrisy out there that is just prevalent left and right, and it's just all over the place. I don't mean left and right from a political standpoint. I'm talking about left and right like everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, we have noted numerous situations in which Donald J. Trump, MAGA, people on the right engage in certain situations, and that if Democrats did that, right, or if African Americans did that, or if Latin American people did that, they would be absolutely lambasted and destroyed, okay? There's no question about it. This is just yet another example of what's taken place. And it all comes back to Donald Trump and to people that, and a lot of people that are in MAGA, where there's this projection going on, right, Brian? There's these people out there that will say that they will claim that Democrats and lefties are un-American, and they'll give reason A, B, and C. And it's all BS, but all it is a projection. And this is just another example of it. This is another example of it in which people are engaging in projection.
Yeah, no question. And it's absolute nonsense. I've been getting into it with people on social media, just like Chris, you and I have been getting into it with people that say Joe Biden's health is in decline. If you recall, they're saying he was helped off the stage by Barack Obama. I saw the video, and I was talking to somebody from the Hollywood Reporter yesterday who was there, who said, no, it was one of those things where they were waving to the crowd for 3 or 4 seconds. Joe Biden's looking at his supporters, and then it was time to go. And Obama taps him on the wrist and said, hey, let's go. That's it. And then Obama, who, by the way, they've had a wonderful relationship. It's Obama's former vice president, takes his arm around him. It's not because he was trying to guide him or trying to balance him. They're friends. They're close to one another. We all saw that. And here's the bottom line here, and this is my argument that I like to make about this, Chris, and it's pretty simple. You know, if you remember, we had a president named FDR, okay? FDR, if you recall, you're a historian. I don't know if you are. I'm not much of a historian, but it's pretty easy to know. It's third grade social studies and history. FDR created Social Security. He ended the Great Depression, and he won World War II. Chris, do you know how he did that? Do you know what his health was like in there? He was confined to a wheelchair. So for all of you idiots out there, and that's what you are, you're idiots. Joe Biden's in the bunker. He's got Alzheimer's. By the way, 99.9% of these idiots have zero medical experience at all. But even if that was the case, he's 81 years old. I get it. Even if he had trouble walking, heck, even if he was confined to a wheelchair, your point makes absolutely no sense. It's got nothing to do with the job. Okay, Greg Abbott's in a wheelchair. FDR was in a wheelchair. Some pretty amazing accomplishments when he presided as president of the United States. Right. And these morons, do you remember the parachute video from several days ago where Joe Biden turns around and the right-wing media is making he doesn't know where he is. He's wandering around. And then as the camera pans, he takes just a couple steps towards another parachuter and gives him the thumbs up. And somehow MAGA right are making it like he doesn't know where he is.
No, Brian, I'll do you one better, okay? That story has come about, obviously, in the last 24 to 48 hours about the deep fakes, right? In the media. Mm-hmm. There's been some videos that have been doctored out there, and you have had right-wing outlets. I don't call them networks. They don't give me any credibility. You've already named one of them today, and I'm hesitant to even mention the names of them because they're so despicable and they're just propaganda for everything MAGA. All right, but there's already that story that's been debunked essentially, where you've had fake videos circulating on the web, and you've got outlets on the right using these like they're actually real. They think they're real. Or they know that they're fake, but they don't care because all they want to do is just prop up Donald Trump for the election, and therefore they just keep spewing out this BS. And it's extremely, extremely unfortunate, and it's disheartening that we are in a place right now when it comes to our political discourse in America where this stuff goes on, and the only reason or excuse for it is, oh, we don't care if it's fake or not. We don't care. It just makes our side look better, and we're going to roll with it. And unfortunately, that's the position that we're in right now, Brian.
And I want to play some clips, and we're going to go to clip 2 to start. I want to play some clips of Donald Trump because, all these people on the far right, they're talking about Joe Biden's cognitive decline, right? They're talking about how he's got Alzheimer's and he's in the bunker and yada, yada, yada. First of all, I played the clips just when Donald Trump was in Vegas last week talking about sharks in the desert and mumbling and bumbling as he always does. But I do want to play you a little bit of audio, and maybe we can say that Donald Trump has Alzheimer's and he's in the bunker. But I want to start with clip 2. This is Donald Trump talking about Dr. Oz. Have a listen to this.
That's what they're waiting for. They're waiting for one race. We've endorsed Dr. Oz. We've endorsed JP, right? JD Mandel, and he's doing great. They're all doing good. That's what they're waiting.
JP Mandel, I think he was trying to say JD Vance.
He's not very good with names lately. It's a tough thing for the former president to actually say their name correctly or actually have the right name in place. It's a tough thing, man.
I don't know. I mean, Trump must be in the bunker, right? He must have Alzheimer's. This is when and I played this yesterday because it's hilarious, because on one side, he's trying to say that Joe Biden should take a cognitive test, and then listen to what he calls his doctor again. This is hilarious.
He doesn't even know what the word inflation means. I don't think if you gave him a quiz, I think he should take a cognitive test like I did. I took a cognitive test, and I aced it. Doc Ronnie Johnson. Does everyone know Ronnie Johnson, congressman from Texas? He was the White House doctor. And he said I was the healthiest president he feels in history. So I liked him very much immediately. In fact, he said if I didn't eat junk food, I would live to 200. That's what he said. But I said, Ronnie, should I take a test? He said, well, it's Walter Reed. It's sort of a public hospital. If you don't do well, they're going to find out about it. I said, well, I'm a smart person. How tough is it? He said, it gets very tough as you get to the middle of it. And I did something that he's never seen done. I aced it. I got every question right. I aced it in front of a lot of people.
That's called a clan clap, ladies and gentlemen. By the way, his name is Ronnie Jackson, by the way.
Shocker.
And by the way,
unbelievable. He doesn't know his name.
This is a guy who's been touring with Donald Trump. He's been on the campaign trail with Donald Trump. He was in the White House. And Donald Trump is talking about cognitive test and how he aced it. And he doesn't even remember the name of his own doctor.
And by the way, Brian, people's memories might escape them. But remember back when he was talking about acing these tests, 3, 4, 5 years ago?
Yes.
It's not a test like you're taking a test in high school or in college, right? Where you're getting graded, okay? You don't ace those tests, all right? That's not the mindset of that situation. So, and we mocked him and made fun of him. And when I talk about I'm talking about everybody. We kind of clown Donald Trump. What was that 3, 4, 5 years ago, whenever it was, he was talking about that, the exact same thing. And then, but you can't, it's just unbelievable. And you say this on the show every day. You just can't make this stuff up. This was just another instance of, you can't make this stuff up. The guy is trying to clown Joe Biden for being cognitively declined, and yet he still doesn't even know what the guy's name is. And by the way, I'm not going to let this go either. Donald Trump has a penance to be kind of disrespectful. Kind is maybe not the word I should use. I should say disrespectful. He's a doctor, okay? You can say Dr. Jackson, all right? You don't have to say Ronnie Jackson, Ronnie Johnson, okay? Even now I'm messing up his name too. That's Donald Trump's kind of way to show disrespect towards people, right? Where he doesn't use their titles. He doesn't, you know what I mean? He wants everybody to call him president or sir, right? All the time. He loves it when people do that. But when it comes to him showing respect to other people and their titles, and we saw Marjorie Taylor Greene, right, 2 weeks ago, and with Dr. Fauci saying that he doesn't want to call Dr. Fauci a doctor. It's just this general disrespect. It comes back to what I just said 10 minutes ago about how there's the general discourse in America
But
is
you
in a
won't-
bad place.
But
right
you
now.
won't hear people on the far right saying that Donald Trump is in the bunker. You won't hear people on the far right saying that Donald Trump has Alzheimer's. Now, I'll be the first one to say Donald Trump is not well. He's a sick man mentally. This has nothing to do with his age. He's just a very sick, bigoted in nature, hateful human being. But I have some more audio to play for you. Donald Trump talking about Viktor Orban. Have a listen to this.
Had a lot of the horrible things. The world is exploding. If you take a look, I mean, the whole world is exploding. You know, I was very honored as a man. Viktor Orban. Did anyone ever hear of him? He's probably like one of the strongest leaders anywhere in the world, and he's the leader of, right? He's the leader of Turkey. Fronts on
What?
both Russia.
The leader of Turkey. What did he just say?
Hey, Brian Shapiro, isn't he the leader of Finland or Sweden or the Netherlands or what? What country is the leader of? I don't know.
By the way,
I'm
Chris,
curious. Which country is he the leader of?
I'm really hungry right now. Yeah, I'm really hungry. This is the same guy who said he defeated Barack Obama. It's the same guy who said Jeb Bush got us into the war in Iraq. He said you need ID to buy bread. The guy who confused Nancy Pelosi with his political rival, Nikki Haley. This is just in the last several months, by the way. There's another. I'm sorry, I got to play another one because this is just too much fun. While the right is complaining that Joe Biden turned around and took 2 steps and gave a thumbs up to a guy who just landed in a parachute, Donald Trump was confusing Kim Jong-un with the president of China. Have a listen to this.
You deal with all these people. The press hates when I say they're smart. He said they were smart. Well, what am I supposed to say? They're stupid people? Kim Jong-un leads 1.4 billion people, and there's no doubt about who the boss is.
What?
And they want me to say he's not an intelligent man. They get very personal when I say that.
What?
Because they're fake news. That's why they do that. They're fake. They're fake people, and they're hurting our country very badly.
I didn't know that Kim Jong-un was the president of China. I guess he gets his people of Asian descent mixed up a little bit, but he's not in the bunker. He doesn't have Alzheimer's. So this is an author, Chris, who recently just interviewed Donald Trump. And he talks about Trump's memory issue so severe that he even forgot being interviewed with this guy. It's pretty destroying, I guess. I don't know how else to describe it. This is a author who just recently interviewed Trump talking about his cognitive decline.
The other thing that I think is really interesting, because I really got to know Donald Trump post-presidency, and I got to see what he was like. And over the weekend, he was talking about how Joe Biden needs to take a cognitive test. Joe Biden, isn't all there. Donald Trump had severe memory issues. As the journalist who spent the most time with him, I have to say he couldn't remember things. He couldn't even remember me. We spent an hour together in 2021 in May, and then a few months later, I went back to the White House. I went back to Trump Tower to talk to him about his time in the White House, and he had this vacant look on his face, and I said, "Do you remember me?" And he said, no. He had no recollection of our lengthy interview that we had, and he wasn't doing a lot of interviews at that time. So I think that the American public really needs to see this portrait of Donald Trump, because this shows what he is like and who he is and who he has always been.
I mean, doesn't even remember who this guy is,
Well, it's interesting comments. Look, it was an author that he talked to, in 2021. You don't even need to go back. You don't even need to go back you can go back to this weekend, Brian. You just played at the top of the show clips from his speech in Detroit at a black church that didn't have very many black people in it, by the way. And also, there's the anecdotes from business leaders, right? Republican business leaders, in which he had a meeting with over the weekend, in which they described in detail about how he was rambling. A lot of times he was talking, he wasn't making any sense. So all this comes back to is what I said before. This projection, this whole idea that Joe Biden is a bumbling, stumbling, imbecile, basically suffering from severe decline when it comes to his cognitive abilities. And Donald Trump is this somehow bastion of togetherness, right? Where he's got everything together. Here's the reality, Mr. Shapiro. Here's the reality, PTL. Does Joe Biden, is he old? Absolutely. He's 81 years old, okay? There's no question that he has age-related situations that sometimes transpire, okay? He's a step slower than he used to be. Is he someone who is senile, who has dementia? I'm not a medical professional, so I'm not going to make that assessment. I don't think he does. In my personal opinion, no. I don't think he is senile or is suffering from dementia. All right? But it all depends on what side of the aisle you're on and what your perspective is going to be on this. That's the bottom line.
And let me be clear.
But Donald Trump, I mean, I'm not going to sit here. I'm not going to do the same thing that some people on the left are doing. You know, and by the way, that you just did on the show, where I'm not going to sit here and say it's definite that Donald Trump has some type of medical issues with respect to his age, because I'm not a medical professional.
Right.
But you know what I'm saying?
But let me be clear here.
But there's been a lot of that going back.
Let me be clear here. I agree. We're both not medical professionals, but let me be clear. I would not be playing these clips, and I would not be pointing this out if not for the right attacking Joe Biden every day, saying he's got cognitive decline. Yeah. The only reason why every president has gaffes. I would care. Now, listen, Donald Trump and Joe Biden are very different people, especially from a moral compass, but they're both old. They're both going to have gaffes. They're both going to make mistakes. I wouldn't even be talking about this if not for the right. Now, a guy that I have a lot of respect for, who I think does a really good job, is Brian Tyler Cohen. He absolutely destroys Tomi Lahren, who, by the way, has done this show before, who wrote her name to get her degree from UNLV. I think that's all you need. I don't know. But Brian Tyler Cohen and Tomi Lahren appear on Pierce's show, Piers Morgan's show.
Right.
And Brian Tyler Cohen, she's trying to, again, the regular right-wing talking points, which I'm not going to repeat. He's in the bunker. He's got cognitive decline. He was helped off the stage, and Brian Tyler Cohen just destroys her yesterday. Have a listen to this.
The other thing that I think
the bigger story that's going to happen on June 27th is the fact that the vast majority of Americans, to your point, the most Americans are going to watch this debate, probably of any debate that we've ever had, is they are going to be reminded what a raving lunatic Donald Trump is. This is somebody who, purportedly in his right mind is claiming that World War II hasn't happened yet. In his right mind, claiming that Barack Obama is still the president. In his right mind, claiming that you need ID to buy bread. In his right mind, claiming that the U.S., which is there to as an acronym for United States, spells us, and that he was the first person to figure that out. In his right mind, claim that Nikki Haley was in charge of the Capitol on January 6th. In his right mind, claim that Viktor Orban was the leader of Turkey. I mean, this is. What are we talking about here?
He's absolutely right.
Yes.
Just destroys Tomi Lahren. She sits there with her stupid smirk on her face. I mean, what a complete moron anybody would be to claim that Donald Trump doesn't have any cognitive decline at all. Listen, Joe Biden's old. Donald Trump is old, as Chris said. We both understand that. But when you look at what the right is doing, because they don't want to talk about policy, they certainly don't want to talk about the record. They want to complain about gas prices and how much your eggs are. Meanwhile, let's buy a $750 Klan pair of gold sneakers. Let's buy $60 Bibles. I mean, these people are so complicit in having no understanding of how the economy works. Yes, Brian Tyler Cohen's right. I mean, everyone's going to have their eyes glued to the television to watch the presidential debate, which I believe is a week from Thursday, if I'm not mistaken. It's going to be very important for Joe Biden, and I've already told you what I think is going to happen. The same thing that I told you was going to happen for Joe Biden's State of the Union. They're going to say he's not going to be able to last 90 minutes. He's not going to be able to stand up there. Let me tell you something. Joe Biden lasted longer if you counted every minute that he was up there, put it to a second to how long that Donald Trump lasted with Stormy Daniels. Let's just start there, number one. And number two, he lasted 90 minutes up there, and he did more than just last. He did a great job. And the Republicans had to move the goalpost once again. What did they say? Oh, they gave him drugs. By the way, they couldn't name Donald Trump's own doctor couldn't name one drug that would work, that would help somebody stand up there for 90 minutes and do what Joe Biden did. He's going to do the same thing next week. He's going to do fine. He's going to hold his own. He's a smart man. He's a man that knows his history. And then they're going to say he was on drugs again. And Donald Trump is going to make a bumbling fool of himself once again. That's exactly what's going to happen. And they're going to say, oh, Donald Trump shredded Joe Biden. Yeah, Joe Biden was getting destroyed with what? Because he was talking about Hunter Biden's laptop and penis? I mean, that's exactly what's going to happen. I can tell you what's going to happen next week. Joe Biden is going to do just fine.
I'm extremely intrigued as to what's going to go down when it comes to this debate. And I think I'm like a lot of Americans. I'm hoping, Brian Shapiro, I'm praying that there's actually some substance in this debate, right? Possibly, maybe Donald Trump actually engages in some type of policy discussion. I heard your show yesterday, and you had on Dennis, and Dennis Silvers is a character, right? And but he started talking about Donald Trump like he is some policy wonk. He was making the comment about how, well, I'm going to vote for Donald Trump because he's got some ideas and he has policies that are going to that are going to be beneficial to our country. I'm essentially paraphrasing what Dennis was saying. Let me be extremely clear. Donald Trump is not a policy wonk by any stretch of the imagination. Donald Trump has not put forth any ideas of substance whatsoever in the past 5-6 months since this ramped up election cycle has started. He has just engaged in a barrage of grievances across the board about everything. He's basically just complained about the justice system, saying how he's been wronged, complained about everything that he can think of with respect to the United States of America. It has not been a type of situation where Donald Trump proposes ideas or has policies that he puts forth or that he focuses on. So, again, circling back to what this debate's going to be about, I'm hopeful, Brian Shapiro. I got my both hands clenched. I'm praying. I'm praying, folks out there, all you evangelicals, that there actually is some substance that comes out of this debate.
Yeah, I think there will be, at least on Joe Biden's side. I don't know about Donald Trump. So normally I would take a break here, but I want to get right to the phone calls. Number to call, 702-221-7283, because we have a lot of people on hold and I want to get to them. Again, that number to call, we have one phone line open, and that number to call is 702-221-7283 if you want to be a part of the program. What are we talking about? Well, we've talked about a lot, but we've talked about, white boy summer. What does that mean for some of you? And why Nick Fuentes and white nationalists out there seem to love the phrase. We've talked about that. We've talked a little bit about how, they claim that Donald Trump has all the black support, which he doesn't, 15% maybe. And we've talked about Donald Trump's cognitive decline, but the right doesn't want to talk about that. 702-221-7283. Let's start with JD. JD is first up on PTL. Hello, JD.
Hello, fellows. You started off with talking about you didn't know of any black supremacist or nationalist.
I didn't say I didn't know of anybody. I said I gave that as example that there are black supremacists out there. I didn't give any names of black supremacists. And
thought you said you didn't know if there were any out there.
I don't know of them by name. I didn't say. I'm sure. As I said.
So JD, I'll chime in because I didn't talk about this at all. I didn't address. There are black supremacists out there.
Okay, so let me just rephrase. JD, what I did say after that was that there are people who are black who are racist as well. If you actually bothered to listen to what I have to say, I never said that black people can't be racist or there's no black racist out there.
I didn't say you said that.
Okay, but JD, here's my problem, right? And help me out with this, JD. I tried to make a point, which I noticed that you don't want to address, which is if somebody black or a black supremacist put out a saying, Black Boy Summer, and then Kamala Harris went on a stage and started to hand out Black Boy Summer hats and shirts, how would Republicans react to that? So, JD, you're a Republican. If a black supremacist came up with something like that sort of phrase, and somebody like Kamala Harris handed out T-shirts and hats that said Black Boy Summer, I don't know, let's just say the Democrat National Convention, JD, how would you feel about that?
It's a ridiculous question.
No, it's not.
It's not ridiculous at all.
You know my answer.
No, I don't. Answer it.
I wouldn't like it. I think it's wrong.
I appreciate that. I agree.
It's not something that should be done. But
JD,
hold on.
I promise I will let you make your statement. You have my promise, JD. Let's just stay on point for a moment, and then I will give you the floor, okay? I appreciate your honesty there. How do you feel now about Charlie Kirk and his group at a Trump, I wouldn't really call it a Trump rally. It was a turning point event where they went on a stage and tossed out White Boy Summer shirts and showed a flag that said White Boy Summer. Would you say the same about that?
Let me ask you this. I don't know anything about that. What does that mean?
You don't know what I'm talking about?
I've heard it, but I've never heard it before until yesterday. What does it mean? What are they implying? What are they trying to say?
So white, as I mentioned to start the segment, because I did describe for people that might be unaware of the story and what it means, White Boy Summer was created by a rapper named Chet Hanks, who happens to be white. And then all of a sudden, white nationalists and people like Nick Fuentes, who are Nazi lovers and despicable human beings, have coined the phrase, use it constantly, and endeared the phrase. It is a phrase used by white nationalists today. And that's why I ask you that question, because I would hope you have the same anger. And by the way, nobody in the Democrat Party has coined a phrase of Black Boy Summer, and Kamala Harris will not be handing out anything like that. I just use as an example. You answered it honestly, which I appreciate. And I'm just asking you, with that history, would you also say the same for what Charlie Kirk and his group did the other day?
Again, I'm not familiar with the group, the story, or anything. So I honestly
I'll
don't
chime
know
in, JD. And actually,
it.
JD, I'm actually JD. You're about to be shocked, okay? Because I'm going to defend JD on this, Brian, and this is the reason why. Because I didn't know either until that statement was made yesterday. What White Boy Summer was, I don't know who Chet Hanks is.
But we know what it is now.
So time out though. I don't know who Chet Hanks is either. Okay, so I had never heard the term. It's the same thing as this critical race theory stuff. Okay, people before 2020. Nobody knew what the hell critical race theory was, okay? For the most part. Were there some that did? Yes. But the general public didn't know what critical race theory was. So this is kind of the same thing. So yes, I'm defending JD. JD probably didn't know the term White Boy Summer, Brian Shapiro, and that's what he's talking about. And I didn't know it either. So I understand where he's coming from that perspective.
Right. All right. So what I try to do is when I talk about anything on this show, I'm not going to always be right. But I try to do a little bit of research, and I try to understand. And when I posted some of this stuff online, I did research. And Nick Fuentes and many white nationalists have endeared this statement, and that's why I'm talking about it and calling out those on the right that have not called this out. That's the only reason. But go ahead, JD. You wanted to make another statement.
Well, I was starting. My premise for the call was, the Farrakhan's,
yes,
who's made statements that Jews are devils and white men are devils, and Reverend Jackson talking about Hymietown, and Reverend Sharpton with all of the misdeeds he did with the Jewish community in New York. And then you got people like Jamal Bowman, who's an anti-Semite in New York, a congressman, and Andrew Carson out of Indiana, another one, and Sheila Jackson Lee and Barbara Lee. These are all radical people who not only hate Jews, but they hate America, I believe, because they're either socialist or communist in their thinking. And that was my point to the other side of the coin. But, gentlemen, I think you're both in a little bit of denial. And I think you're really worried that Trump is going to win this election because by highlighting that Trump's malaprops, you could do 2 hours of your show, Brian, on all of the things that Biden has said over the course of the last just couple of years.
Do 2 hours.
So wait, JD, we're the ones who are in denial. We just talked about 5-10 minutes ago, Brian Shapiro and I, about projection. That's exactly what this is. This phone call is projection,
okay,
JD.
Hold on, let me respond.
You are the one, and MAGA people are the ones who are in denial, who like to disregard facts, who like to have your own alternative reality. You are the ones who are in denial, not us.
So let me respond.
We're the ones who are looking at things through clear glasses, okay, and actually seeing what it is that's transpiring and taking place. So all due respect, sir, all right, it's not us who are in denial.
Right, hold on.
And I'll make a comment real quick about what he just said about us worried about Donald Trump winning the election. Let me tell you something. Yeah, I am a little bit worried. I'm not really that much worried. I'm a little bit worried because there's millions of Americans that support a individual who I think is despicable and has zero business whatsoever being the president of the United States. Okay, so yes, there is that. But I wouldn't characterize myself as a progressive Democrat, right, and someone who's on the left as sitting back and losing sleep every single night because Donald Trump is running for president.
Okay, let me respond to what JD just said. First of all, JD.
Well, I just did too.
7 out of 10 Republicans believe that Donald Trump won the 2020 election.
BS.
So don't preach to me about denial, number one. Number two, nothing I ever say on this show is because I'm quote unquote worried. Okay. It's that has nothing to do with my opinions. It has nothing to do with what I say on this show. What I call out is I call out the hypocrisy and the nonsense. Yeah. And the reason why I played a bunch of Donald Trump clips is not because I'm worried that Donald Trump could win in November. I'm trying to make a point that obviously you don't connect or don't understand. And the point is that they're both very old. They both have gaffes. They both make mistakes.
Well, we know that, Brian. We know that.
No, I don't think so. I don't think we know that.
Would you be better off promoting your candidate, Biden, by playing?
First of all, it's not my job.
Did Donald Trump win the election in 2020?
Hold on a second.
Well, I mean, hold on.
Hold on.
I mean, yeah.
Hey, JD, my job isn't to promote anybody. I know you listen to shows, and this is when I get frustrated with people like you. You listen to shows in Las Vegas that literally promote idiots like Donald Trump, okay? Yeah. I don't promote anybody. I don't make appearances on Newsmax unless I'm at a Klan rally.
No, I meant about Biden. I meant about Biden.
I know, but if you could actually listen to what I'm
positive things about Biden.
If you can actually listen to what I'm saying now, it's not my job to promote anybody. It's not my job to be biased and raise somebody on a pedestal. In fact, unlike you, I'm willing to say that I don't want Joe Biden to run. I'd rather see somebody younger be running in office. It's not my job to promote people to push an agenda. It's my job to call out hypocrisy, call out the truth, and call out election deniers, which are 70% of the Republican Party. JD, I appreciate the phone call. Thank you very much, but you're a denier, not me. 702-221-7283.
I would also say it's your job to be an entertainer. You have a radio show. Your job is to entertain.
I promote C-Win Sports Picks. That's what I promote.
That's it. Yeah.
702-221-7283. I promote the Boston Celtics today. Okay, JD, you want to say I'm in denial? Buffoons like you seem to think that Donald Trump won the 2020 election. That means 7 out of 10. 70% of Republicans are freaking idiots. 70% of Republicans don't understand what evidence means. They still think Donald Trump won. You turds out there.
Does JD think that Donald Trump won in 2020?
I'm sure he
said that.
I'm sure he does.
Well, I mean, you're saying you're sure.
Yeah,
I don't know if I've heard him say it.
He thinks there's a lot of questions.
Here's the deal. That whole phone call, and the reason it started that way is because you did kind of misspeak, all right? When you talked about the black supremacy thing, you said, I don't know any of black supremacy. Look, you can roll back. Bro, time out. Roll back the tape. You can roll back the tape. You give the insinuation. You say that you don't know of any black supremacists. So that's what JD was jumping on, all right? I'm not saying it was right. I'm just trying to explain the situation.
And as I said before.
You said, okay, so you didn't know. You didn't.
And as I said before.
Okay, so Brian, this is where you get into trouble because you try to make some clarification.
I've gotten into trouble?
No, you get into trouble. I mean, it's a figure of speech, okay? You didn't clarify afterwards. You made the statement. Okay. Essentially,
we can roll back.
No, Chuck. We can roll the tape back. Yes, we can roll it back,
all right,
and it'll explain to you that you misspoke and you said that you were not aware of black supremacists out there.
I said I wasn't aware of any names.
Again, why do you have to?
Okay, so you don't have to argue with me.
Roll
Let's move back to the next call.
We can roll it back.
Let's go back.
That's fine.
Can I take the next call? Okay. Stupid argument.
I know it is stupid, but
what I did say.
Go ahead. Next caller.
May I talk?
I mean, I guess. I mean, you're going to keep saying that you didn't say it, and
I just want to.
I can keep saying that we can roll the tape back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can I talk?
Go ahead.
Uninterrupted. Okay. Thank you. What I did say before, and I say again, is while I didn't know any black supremacists by name, I don't know of any by name. There are
Elijah Muhammad.
Can I continue to talk?
I just tossed one out there for you, and you should know his name, by the way.
Okay. So obviously, do
you know who Elijah Muhammad is?
Obviously, you're not going to let me.
You know who Elijah Muhammad is?
You're not going to let me finish a thought. And
I'm not.
You're going to interrupt.
So we're having a back and forth discussion here. It's not like you have to keep talking. When I ask you a question, you cannot ignore it too. So do you know who Elijah Muhammad is? Do you know who he is?
I can't have a conversation with you if you're going to interrupt me.
So you're not going to answer the question?
Well, no, because you're not letting me finish my thought. You constantly.
Well, it goes directly to the point that we're talking
about. Let's move on to the next call.
Air.
You're obviously not going to let me talk without interrupting me.
Whatever. You just want to ignore this.
No, I just want to finish my thought.
Okay.
If you will allow me to speak for 10 seconds without interrupting me, that would be awesome, and then we can get back to the calls.
Whatever. Okay, keep going.
Can we?
Yes.
Is that okay with you?
I mean,
does that bother you?
Go ahead.
Well, why are you banging your hand?
Because you're ignoring the purpose of the discussion, and you don't want to answer the question.
Okay.
It goes to the root of what we're talking about here. Okay. You made a statement that you're not aware of any black supremacists. JD correctly, for one time in his life, he's had very few things he's said on the air that are correct, right? When it's a phone call. And I know you're rubbing your head. You're like, why are we even talking
because
about
you're not letting me talk.
Because I'm trying to. Well, no, I'm actually talking right now. Okay. So the reason why he said that he thought you were not aware of black supremacists because you said on the air that you're not aware of any black supremacists. He was obviously thinking of Elijah Muhammad, right? The leader of the Black Muslim movement, okay, back in the 1960s. That was obviously he's a prominent national figure who was, yes, a black supremacist. That's why I said to you, I'm like, you know who he is, right? And then you just want to talk about how, well, I don't really care, or that's not what I was talking about, or I don't know anything. So that's kind of the direction that the conversation went. So, yes, I know you're being condescending right now, and you're kind of being, a little
No, I'm just waiting for you to stop talking so I can talk.
So stop talking? Yeah. So, you didn't hear what I said the last, 3 minutes? Or no?
I've already heard this, your broken record, but you don't let me.
You did? I already talked about
Nunchuck, start this clock, and let's see how long Chris could not talk so I can speak for maybe 20 or 30 seconds.
So go ahead.
Thank you.
So normally people, so we have a conversation on the air when you're like hosting together. Normally you can have a response to the individual who's actually talking, who's making a point that makes sense. So this is that opportunity for you. And by the way, you're the lead host of the show, so you can absolutely chime in.
Are you sure I'm the lead host? Because you don't let me talk for more than 5 seconds without interrupting me. All right, start the clock. Let's see how long before he interrupts me again. I'm going to try to repeat myself again, but he interrupted me again 8 seconds into it. What I said earlier, and then we're going to move on and take the calls, which is what I said 5 minutes ago when you interrupted me. I said I didn't know personally the names of any black supremacists. What I didn't say was black supremacists don't exist. What I said right after that is that there are absolutely black people out there that are racist. I just couldn't name anybody off the top of my head. I never made the claim that they didn't exist. It's a stupid conversation, and it's moronic, quite frankly. Now, if I went on the air and I said black supremacists don't exist, that would be different. I didn't say that. I said I couldn't name one. I couldn't name one off the top of my head. I never said that they didn't exist. So now that we cleared that up, let's move on to the next call. What are you doing? Are you doing a?
I'm making the.
You look like Donald Trump,
digging yourself out of your.
Well, you're
grave.
very. You're very good.
You're shoveling yourself out of your.
Notice how Chris. Notice how Chris is very good with that.
No, you're very good. You're very good.
Let's get back to the calls. Let's go to Mohammed. Mohammed. No, I'm just honest, Chris.
You're very good at it.
Sometimes people are not smart enough to understand. Let's go to Mohammed. Mohammed is next. Hello, Mohammed.
Hello. I'm going to ask for forgiveness up front if I'm long-winded. First and foremost, Chris, that two-handed gesture you just made looked like it was been perfected over time.
It has. Muhammad knows all about it, Mr. Shapiro. He does.
So
Muhammad knows all about
it. He channeled his inner Kamala Harris and said he was going to the root causes. We should get him out on the border because he apparently knows the root causes of why you said what you said. But I want to say one thing. PTL history was made today. Brian, on the air, you said you're not always going to be right. I don't think I've ever heard you admit being wrong, ever.
I was definitely wrong co-hosting with C-Win today.
Well, and then I saw a video you posted online yesterday watching the Celtics game.
Yes.
I hope you washed that jersey, or are you wearing the same shirt twice without washing it?
I'm wearing the same jersey. It is unwashed, and I'm proud of it, my friend.
That's horrendous.
Do you have anything of substance that you'd like to say?
Hey, Muhammad, it's an extended celebration time, Muhammad. It's just more than one day, my friend. It's more than one night. He's got to keep it rolling for a couple days here,
Well, listen, I don't even know what to say to that. But you said something about Trump has no policy. I think
he does.
You should be in support of the fact that I think he may have won Nevada with one sentence, and that's I'm not going to tax your tips anymore. If anybody can appreciate that,
that might actually come to fruition. That might actually happen.
Let me respond to that. Sir Mohammed, whatever your name is. So, first of all, did you believe Donald Trump when he said he was going to hire a special prosecutor to convict Hillary Clinton and he was going to build a wall and Mexico's going to pay for it? Were you one of those dopes that believed him when he said that and you voted for him in 2016? What the hell has Donald Trump ever said that he actually did? Okay. Why didn't he do this during his presidency in 2016 to 2020? Why didn't he bring this up a couple of years ago? But conveniently, Donald Trump says in Las Vegas, which is, I think Chris would agree with me on this, it's a service industry town, that he's going to not tax your tips. But you believe him? You believe him when he says he's going to do that?
I think I saw on the news and read somewhere that Ted Cruz is already writing the legislation.
Oh, well, that's a guy with really a lot of credibility. Cancun. Yeah, I really believe anything that idiot says or does.
Well, listen, it's what is your special needs candidate in Biden ever done?
So first of all, Joe Biden is not a special needs candidate, and that is, I think, extremely offensive. Number one, And number two, as I mentioned early on in the show, and a
Did
friend
you
of
not see his seeing eye dog lead him off the stage, Obama, the other night?
he
did you not see
he
that?
did not lead
Or
him
you
off
don't
the
believe
stage.
that's what happened?
No, I watched it with my own eyes, and I also ask you this: do you think Roosevelt was a good president?
Listen, I do actually.
You do? Okay, well, he did it in a wheelchair. So what's your thoughts on that?
Well, but he was sound mind, maybe not body, but sound mind.
So
Your guy isn't.
So you're first of all, you keep saying my guy. I'm an
That's your guy.
anti-Donald. No, I'm an anti-Donald
I'm
Trump
sure
guy.
you've
No,
had
he's
a
saying that
couple of
because
scoops of
you've
ice
already
cream
made it clear that you're going to vote for
Biden
Joe
and
Biden.
policy.
Yeah, that's why he's saying that, Brian.
Okay, just because I vote for somebody doesn't mean I'm all in. I would vote for almost anybody than Donald Trump because he's despicable. Donald Trump is your guy. Are you part of the cult? Tell me you wouldn't vote. Tell me. Listen, Donald Trump could have an oxygen tank. He could be in a wheelchair. He might not even be able to speak. And all you idiots would still vote for him, wouldn't you? Wouldn't you, dude? Wouldn't you?
He could be, but he isn't. Your guy is.
Muhammad is part of the Muslim coalition to support Donald Trump.
Yeah,
That's what it
he
is.
must
He's-
be.
that's
He
what he
must
is.
be. Yeah.
Just call me Dr. Detroit. He's going to win Michigan, buddy.
All right. Well, I'll make you.
We'll see
I'll
about
make you.
that.
I'll
My
make.
home state. Yeah.
I'll make you a bet on that he doesn't. Okay.
Me and all my homeland we're gonna bring it home in Michigan for him.
I'm sure you will.
Because he has no clue what he's doing in Israel. Not a clue.
Oh, so what would you do? What would you do differently?
I would support our biggest ally in the Middle East, which he clearly does not.
Oh, so you don't think we support Israel? He sent more money over there than any modern day president. You don't think he supports Israel?
I don't think he supports Israel in the way that he should.
Well, you're
Just
wrong.
Listen, he also supports Ukraine.
Okay, so
Let's
President,
give him all
so
these
President,
weapons, but not let him
so
shoot
Mr.
them into Russia.
The President of the United
country
States,
that's attacking them.
President Mohammed, what would you do differently? I would support Israel. Wow, that's great policy.
the
You would be
first
a
thing I
wonderful
would do-
policymaker. I support
All right,
Israel. Wow, I'm all in.
First thing I would do is I would recommend a different barber for Chris Wynn. That's number one.
Well, I don't disagree with
That would
that.
be policy
I
number
like
one.
my bowl cut. Come on now. Take it easy over there. Let's go.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Mohammed, Mr. President. Thank you.
All right, wash your shirt, dude.
I will. I'll
He
tell you
might have
what.
washed it though. He doesn't know
Yeah.
that you didn't
Wash your
it.
Donald Trump knee pads. Have a nice day. Have a nice day, Mohammed. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation. Let's go to Jeff. Jeff is next on PTL. What's up, Jeff?
What's up, Jeff?
Biden official
Jeff?
telling lawmakers.
Jeffrey? Is that Jeffrey Epstein? Jeff?
Is he a Biden official?
Jeff,
Is he a
criminal
Biden official or is
history.
that a TV in the background?
Pot him
Brian?
down. That's a delay. Keep Jeff on the line. You don't have to hang up on him, but we're on a little bit of a delay here, so I don't think Jeff knows that. That's okay. Let's go. Who should we go to next here? Let's go to Julie. Julie is next up on PTL. What's up, Julie?
Hello. Yes, Brian, do you remember when a special counsel Robert Hur said that he was not going to charge Joe Biden or the classified document because he is an elderly man with a poor memory?
So he didn't say he wasn't going to charge him because he has a poor memory. That wasn't the reason for not charging. Excuse me. You don't know what you're talking about. I'm going to tell you what happened.
Oh, yes.
Pod her down.
Oh,
I'm sorry. I don't tolerate idiocy. That man did not say, quote, he didn't charge Joe Biden because he has a lack of memory. It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. He did say that he has a lack of memory, but he didn't charge Joe Biden because there wasn't sufficient evidence that a crime was committed. Julie, you literally have no idea what you're talking about. The two can be true at the same time. For you to say, so I guess that's a defense for our DOJ. If somebody has a lack of memory, I'm not going to charge somebody with a crime. Julie, do you realize how stupid you sound? With all due respect.
Brian.
Julie.
Brian.
Julie.
Do you know what is dementia? Have you ever seen a dementia patient?
Yeah. I'm listening. I'm listening to it right now. You have dementia. I'm listening to it right now. Do you know what stupidity sounds like? You give it to me every day when you call into the show. You sound like you have dementia, Julie. I think you're in the bunker. You just said that the guy didn't charge Joe Biden because he has a forgetful memory. Do you realize how stupid you sound? Have a nice day.
And by the way, Donald Trump's going to get right now. Justice has been delayed, so justice may not be served because he's not even going to face the consequences before the election regarding the case that he's involved in, which is a different situation than the Joe Biden case.
Hey, Chris,
the major difference in the two cases, what did Joe Biden do right when he found out that there was classified information that he had in his presence? What did Joe Biden do and his people do? What did they do?
They
Brian?
cooperated.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Immediately.
Hey, Chris, did you know?
Immediately.
Hey, Chris.
What did Donald Trump do? He did not do that. Okay. Huge difference.
Chris, do you know why they didn't convict OJ? because he was forgetful. Did you know that?
Scott
Peterson. Do you know Scott Peterson almost got off on murdering his wife and unborn child because he was forgetful? That's Julie's logic.
That's the defense right there.
Yeah, that's Julie's. That's Julie's logic.
Yes.
Oh my God. He said that he was forgetful, but he also said the reason why they didn't charge him because there wasn't enough evidence. Oh my God. Do I even have to address this anymore? 702-221-7283. Holy smokes. Let's go to Vivian. What's up, Vivian? Holy
Hi,
smokes.
Brian. How you doing today?
I'm doing okay. I'm a little
You
frustrated.
having fun?
Yeah, having fun as
You
always.
should be happy. The Celtics won. So
I was happy. I'm sorry. I'm still happy. Go ahead, Vivian.
you know the thing that I find amazing about all of this stuff about Trump is that everything he's been charged with, he's actually guilty about. But all they want to talk about is the fact that charges were even brought up against him. If a person commits a crime, of course you get charged with it. So I don't understand their reasoning behind being upset that he was charged.
Yeah. I think that they're obviously that they say that it's a two-tier justice system, right? When in reality, if it's a Democrat that is charged, if it's a Democrat that is convicted, all of a sudden they're okay with the justice system, they're okay with the judge, they're okay with the jury. But it's law and order unless one of their own is charged and convicted. Then all of a sudden it's not law and order, and that's what our own Attorney General, Aaron Ford, said, and I'm with him 150%. It's law and order until it's one of their own.
Because when Mendez get charged and convicted, nobody in the Democrat is going to say anything because he's guilty too.
Of course,
It's the same thing with the elections as well too. It's exactly the same thing. When Republicans win elections, it's perfectly fine. Everything's on the up and up. There's nothing wrong with it, and it's exactly the same when it comes to these types of charges. But I'll go even further with it. You two, I'll go even further with it. If you go by the logic of Republicans and especially MAGA with respect to Donald Trump and these charges, Donald Trump would never get charged with anything. He could never be charged with anything at all because he had immunity when he was president, right? He should have some kind of immunity when he's not president anymore, right? Donald Trump can do no wrong. So that's the mentality they have. It's not just that it's all lefties just going after Donald Trump, right? And just trying to prosecute, indict, throw him in the pokey. It's all left-wing loony Democrats that are doing it. It's also their mentality is he can never be charged with anything, ever. That's their mentality, and it's so beyond the pale and absurd. And when we point it out, all we do is get pushback. Obviously, we get pushback from MAGA because it's MAGA.
But we still got to keep pushing it.
But we got to keep doing it because
no matter what,
you got to keep, trying to our hardest. Get these people to understand that the rule of law matters and that we should and that the Justice Department is not just a bunch of biased left-wing loonies.
Vivian, thank you for the call. We appreciate hearing from you.
All right, take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
702-221-7283. Let's go to Jeff, who's next up on PTL. Hello, Jeff.
Hello, Jeff. You there?
Joe Biden was fax to your dumbass.
Oh, okay. So hold on. Don't hang up on him. Don't hang up on him. Don't hang up on him. Hold on. Jeff, I kept you on the line. Hold on. I kept Jeff. Oh, okay. So obviously Jeff doesn't want to have a. I'm going to try with this guy. So hold on.
It might be
keep
futile.
him down.
It might be a futile effort, Brian.
Okay. So Jeff.
It might be tough to do.
So Jeff, I know you called in because you just want to hurl. Keep him potted down.
Yeah.
Jeff, I know you hurled insults, and that's why you called into this show because you just wanted to hurl insults and vulgarities. But I would like to actually have a conversation with you, Jeff, if you're willing to do so. And I'd like to know why you support Donald Trump. I'd like to have a respectful conversation with you, a respectful conversation at some level of intelligence. So, Jeff, I'm going to give you the opportunity to answer my question and try to convince me why I should vote for Donald Trump, Jeff, if you're capable. Now, if you're not capable, so be it. But I'd like to ask you a very serious question. Why should I vote for Donald Trump? Go ahead, Jeff. I'll give you the opportunity.
Because he doesn't have restraining orders on women like you.
Okay, so pot him down again. Oh, you just hung up on him? Okay. So there's a guy who's not capable of answering a question.
Yeah.
He's not capable of having a conversation. He's not capable.
You tried too hard, Brian.
I tried.
You should just let it go.
I tried, but people like that are obviously not capable of having an. I tried multiple times with him.
I'll give you credit. You did.
Yeah, I tried.
You put forth an effort, my
Jeff,
friend.
good luck. Jeff, good luck
Yes.
at your clan rally tonight. You sound like a Grand Wizard, Jeff. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Lori. Lori's next on PTL. What's up, Lori?
Hi, Lori.
Hi, how are you, Chris? 3 things. 1, Julie, if you could read English and would have read the report about Biden, that officer actually said he had a photographic memory,
That's
which
true.
means a very, very good memory.
Very
so
true.
next time, Julie, do better.
You're right.
2, President Biden today did an EO, which is going to really outrage your megas, to start a process for the people that have been in this country for over 10 years as illegals and have DACA children, for them to start going for their citizenship.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I think you made a really good point to start the call, in that he also used the term photographic memory there. And it's, here's the problem, Lori, I think you'll agree with me on this. When people watch their Newsmax and watch their OAN and Jesse Waters and these types of people, they can't separate fact from fiction. They're brainwashed and they're unaware. Julie, the MAGA caller, actually calls into this show and actually thinks that the reason why they didn't prosecute Joe Biden is because he doesn't have a good memory. Now, I would be willing to say, and this is just my personal opinion, and Chris, you could tell me whether you disagree, that you have to be a special type of person to believe that.
Absolutely. There's no question about it.
Yeah.
By the way, a lot of chiming in, going to the caller and to Brian, a lot of people chiming in on the Occupy Democrats PTL text line on Facebook regarding that last caller. You can't have a conversation with these people, not educated enough. That's from Willa Brown. And Rob Bulai has a mic drop moment. Jeff peaked in high school, Brian.
And then, and the third thing I wanted to say is, you may not have heard, but the New York Supreme Court, well, it's an appeals court in New York, but it's their highest court, just rejected Trump's bid for removing his gag order.
Yeah.
So his gag order is going to stay in place for the debate. So is he going to use that for an excuse to get out of it, saying he's under the gag order so he can't debate?
Yeah.
Well, it's just a handful more of lies that Donald Trump can't tell up on that debate stage, right? Because that's exactly what he's going to do in the debate, is just spew off lie after lie after lie, because that's all he does.
Yeah. Thank you for the call, dear. Appreciate you. Yeah. So I would say, and by the way, going back to, people who want to call in and just throw out vulgarities, I grew up with the Jerky Boys, prank callers growing up. And I love Richard Christie and Sal Governelli, who work on the Howard Stern show. But it's just not funny when you just call in and you just.
Well, it's not funny in this context. It's
just not funny.
We're having an entertaining, at the same time a little bit educational. I'd like to think.
But
right?
hey,
radio show here. That's not the Jerky Boys is great, right?
I will say,
I'm calling about the job, Shapiro.
I will say this: I am honored.
I had a little problem upstate.
I am honored by the fact that people have enough time to take out of their midday that they would use their little Trump fingers to call into a show and wait on hold for a while just for the opportunity to, throw a slur on the air. I mean, it's really mesmerizing to me, and it's quite funny. Yeah. All right, let's get back to the call, 702-221-7283. And hey, I welcome people who disagree with me, right? I mean, I love to have conversations like that. All right, who do we got next here? Who are we going to next? Let's go to Shannon, who's next.
Hey, good morning, PTL, Brian and Chris.
Good morning. How you doing?
I am fantastic. I just want to make a statement, man. It's just really a call out. I want to call out that
we don't really do statements here, but I'll let you go with that. Go right ahead.
Okay, thank you, Brian.
Sure.
I want to call out the guy JD earlier. When you the caller JD, when you asked JD about would it be offensive or was it right if, Kamala Harris passed out the Black Boy Summer or this and that, JD quickly responded, yeah, that would have been wrong. But all of a sudden, when it came to the White Boy Summer, he couldn't answer it. He said he didn't know what it was, but he knew what it was if it was a Black Boy Summer hat or T-shirt that was being passed out. He knew enough to say that would be wrong, So that's all. Yeah,
well, I agree with you. Shannon, I completely, and that was a good statement, by the way. I agree with you 100%. And Shannon, you understand why I brought that up, because I wanted to see if he would be able to call out the other side. And you, as you eloquently pointed out, you're 100% correct. That was my point. If you're going to call out, and I knew every Republican would lose their mind. And by the way, Kamala Harris would never do that, as you know, Shannon. Kamala Harris would never do that. But the Republicans would lose their mind. But then when a white person does it and they do white boy summer, notice how hesitant he was. And then he said, see, when I gave a hypothetical, he answered it right away. But then when I gave out something that actually happened the other day, oh, well, I don't know anything about that. I don't have the history of that. I don't know what that means.
Right.
Isn't that interesting, Shannon?
Yeah, that was funny to me, man. It was, it's funny. I just wanted to bring that up.
Yeah,
and
to Shannon and to Brian. Look,
Thank you.
Brian, Shannon, I'm sure you've heard this phrase before, and we've talked about this, right? When somebody shows you their hand, believe them, okay? Yeah. And that's the situation with JD. There's been numerous times JD has called up to this show, right? When Brian's been hosting, when I've been hosting this show, and had derogatory statements to make, especially about immigrants, okay, and about migrants and the southern border.
Yeah.
When somebody shows you their hand, actually believe them.
I agree.
Yeah.
So Shannon, you're going to like this segment coming up next, because we got to take a break. He's Chris Wynn in the house. I'm Brian Shapiro. So coming up next, Charlie Kirk is claiming he can't be racist because he took a picture with some black people, and Donald Trump took a picture with a few black people as well. Folks, you can't make this stuff up. I have the audio to prove it coming up next. We'll take a quick break. Before I do, I want to tell you guys about my good friends at Jackson's Bar and Grill, located at Flamingo and Jones. Chris, you show your TAM card, you get $50 in free slot play today, which is pretty darn cool every week. And not only that, but free gas cards. They're giving out $1,500 in free gas cards every Thursday. Earn 200 points playing any slot. You get in this electronic virtual drum, and you have a chance to win a $100 gas card every Thursday. So that, plus show your TAM card, you get $50 in free slot play. Great food, great atmosphere. Please check them out. Jackson's Bar and Grill, located at Flamingo and Jones. We'll take a quick break. More of your phone calls on the other side, 702-221-7283. Again, that number, 702-221-7283. Be back right after this. It's Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
Hey, everybody, are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premium Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
Tired of the same old date night? Craving a deeper connection with your partner? O-Box is your escape into a world of romance and passion. Each month, discover a box filled with personalized surprises, exciting activities, and a love story written just for the two of you. Ignite desire, share laughter, and make memories that last a lifetime. Your O-Box journey culminates into a beautiful love novel. Ready to write the first thrilling chapter? Let the O-Box adventure begin. Visit our website, obox.com. That's OBOXXX.com. And get started.
Did you know that 99% of air conditioning issues start with airflow issues? Well, guess what? Pioneer Air has your back. They've been operating for 20 years in the industry within the Las Vegas area, large enough to handle all your air conditioning and heating needs, but small enough to know your first name. Pioneer Air focuses on preventative care, much like wellness checks for humans. They believe in wellness checks for air conditioning and heating systems to extend the life of the system you own. So what are you waiting for? Schedule your wellness check with Pioneer Air today. The number to call is 702-831-4840. Here's the best news. Mention this ad and you'll receive 10% off. Call Pioneer Air today. 702-831-4840. That number again, 702-831-4840.
Who would have thought there'd be so many kids playing ice hockey in the desert? Jake Helps Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, founded by Gina Yusufzai 8 years ago, made it possible for families who can't afford the equipment and food. Donate today at www.jkehelps.org. www.hockeyforkids.org and help us continue making a difference. Join us in supporting Jake Helps Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, where every kid gets a shot at the starting line. Just a reminder, our website is www.hockeyforkids.org.
Steiner's, the Nevada style pub invites you to play the best tavern, keno, and video poker in Vegas. Promos are how we roll to make the most of your gaming dollars here with us. Come play our proud partner gaming promotion, Fly Aviators Fly, and receive daily free play, bonuses, and more. With a chance to win awesome brand of prizes and big money for all the jackpots each week. It's not only great gaming that Steiner's Pub has, it's the 24 awesome rotating draft beers, and Vegas' best appetizers to match. So join us in supporting your Las Vegas Aviators, Golden Knights, Lights, Aces, and the Raiders as we make history in Vegas. Steiner's, the Nevada style pub at 8410 West Cheyenne, 1750 North Buffalo, and Las Vegas Boulevard at Windmill. Steiner's, I love this place.
All right, welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits on a Tuesday. Thank you so much for joining us. By the way, programming note, oh boy, is this going to be interesting because he's coming in studio. His name is Woodrow Johnson, and he represents only Trump election deniers. He runs a company that only seems to represent election deniers, and we had a verbal bet on social media because his candidate or candidates lost, and said he was going to be willing to come in studio. He told his candidate not to do my show, and he said if his candidate doesn't win, which was David Flippo, who lost to John Lee, that he would come out and apologize and do a segment with me. So he's coming in on Thursday. So that's certainly going to be very, very interesting. Chris Wynn in the house, obviously talking about a bunch of different topics. White Boy Summer, for one. We were talking a little bit about that. Before I get back to the calls at 702-221-7283. So Charlie Kirk is at his Turning Point event the other day. Donald Trump, guest speaker. This is when we're giving out the White Boy Summer hats and shirts and all that stuff. And I guess there was a moment where Trump, they were able to find like 5 or 6 black people that were willing to take a picture with Donald Trump. And according to Charlie Kirk, I'll just let him explain it to you. But, you know, Joe Biden could never do this. And Donald Trump loves the black people. Have a listen to this.
So they call President Trump a racist. You think Joe Biden could do this? I don't think so.
No.
All Americans love President Trump.
Yeah, that's definitely true. Yeah. So in the video, it's Donald Trump just taking a picture with like 6 or 7 black people.
Right.
And Charlie Kirk did this too, because he's known as a white supremacist, or at least at a minimum, a white supremacist sympathizer. And he also took a very awkward picture with some black people at the Turning Point event, because, you know, if there's 5 or 6 black people there that are willing to take a picture with you, that must mean you're not a racist. By the way, Joe Biden has worked with the NAACP. He's worked with countless organizations and minorities. To say that Joe Biden couldn't do this is such a stupid statement, number one. And number two, what type of racist do you have to be to try to defend that fact that you claim you're not a racist by taking an awkward picture with some black people, like 5 or 6 black people? I mean, what type of human being do you have to be to do that? Charlie
Well,
Kirk.
I don't think it's necessarily defines you as a racist, although I do concur with your assessment of Charlie Kirk and others. It just screams ignorance, right? And it's basically just low-hanging fruit, right? To try to portray yourself in a certain way or to portray your candidate in a certain way. It's very similar to what they do when it comes to these rallies, right? And the rally that took place in Vegas, right, Brian? You were there at the rally, right? Yep. You hear MAGA and Trumpers talking about, look at all these people that came out to see our guy.
Yep.
Right? And by the way, Brian, you were there. All right? I'll ask you flat out.
I was.
You were on the premises there at Sunset Park. How many people were at that rally? What would your estimate be? You're someone who has worked in the media for a long time. You've worked in a lot of sports media. You've been in a lot of arenas, Mr. Shapiro, okay? You've been in a lot of venues that hold, and upwards of 10, 15, 20, 60,000 people, right? How many people, Brian Shapiro, were at that rally here in Vegas?
As I said before, and I'll say it again, maximum of about 4,000 people.
Okay, so
maybe
4,000 people.
Maybe like a like a UNLV Air Force game or something. I mean, that's really what we're looking at.
Right? 4,000.
Yep.
All right. And Brian, I got to tell you, 4,000 in a metropolitan area, right? That has over 2 million people in it. And anybody that's a Trump supporter here in Las Vegas, right? You would think they would want to make their way down to a Donald Trump rally. I mean, Donald Trump's, it's not like he's never here in Vegas, but it's very rare, right? Yeah. And extremely rare
I just want to add,
when he has a rally. So 4,000 people were down there. And we're going to talk about how he gets so much support. And it's so beyond the, and it's so laughable.
And I just want to add
hilarious.
To the people out there that say Donald Trump is getting all this support from the black community, which, by the way, is laughable. He got, less than 15% of the black vote in 2016. He got less than 15% of the black vote in 2020. And now they're claiming, he's going to get at least 20%. First of all, that's not going to happen. Second of all, even if that did happen, you think that's something to brag about? To get 1 in 5 black people in this country to vote for you, and you think that's some sort of victory? It's not. There were very few black people at the Trump rally in Las Vegas. There are and then they go to this Detroit church, black church, and 90% of the people in the church were white. I mean, it really is embarrassing.
It's classic.
And then he goes into this Chick-fil-A, and this black chick gives him a hug and is all over him. Then turns out she's a Republican operative, and they try to make it look like it was just so random.
Just out of nowhere, right, Brian? Just happened to pop up there.
It's a great grassroots campaign. What could I say, Chris?
I concur with you. You talked about this yesterday on the show. I'm gonna agree with you. He got 16% of the vote in 2016. Yeah. He got 15 to 16% of the vote in 2020. He's going to get 15 to 16% of the black vote in 2024. Yep. And it's a very simple reason why he gets it, because there are black conservatives out there in America who are Republicans. I happen to think,
and I also hear
my personal opinion is that they tend to vote against their own interests. But the fact of the matter is, there are black conservatives
and the
in America,
argument that
there's probably 50. He's going to get 50%.
Ted Cruz goes on social media today and he says the Democrats created the KKK and decades ago, but they don't want to talk about today. And he puts up a picture of David Duke. And is Ted Cruz this stupid to not understand that David Duke is all in and has been all in with Donald Trump since 2015? That David Duke is a huge Donald Trump supporter. Why is that? Can you give me any Klan members today or leadership in the Klan that vote Democrat? See, I care about what's going on now. What happened 60, 70, 80, 90 years ago? People can talk about it, but that's in the past. I'm talking about now and the future, or the current past, meaning I know it's a double entendre, but the last several years. The bottom line is the Proud Boys, these types of hate groups in the Klan, these aren't a bunch of lefty liberals, okay? These are Donald Trump supporters. Stand back and stand by. Now let's get back to the calls at 702-221-7283, which is the number to call. Again, the number 702-221-7283. Let's go to Cindy. Cindy's next on PTL. Hello, Cindy.
Hi.
Hi, Cindy. Where are you calling from?
Okay?
Yes, ma'am. Where are you calling from?
From Santa Cruz, California.
Oh, cool. Thanks for calling in, Cindy. What's on your mind?
Just a couple of things I wanted to say is one, a lot of interest on age of 80 when we have so many actors and entertainers that are very active, Jane Fonda, Mick Jagger, Helen Mirren, Clint Eastwood, Harrison Ford, Judi Dench, they're all still very active, and nobody's calling out, and some are over 80. Nobody's calling out their age.
True.
And the second thing I wanted to say is it's so beyond me. I don't understand the comparison in speeches between Donald Trump and Joe Biden, and comparing the intellect of them, whereas Donald Trump is just all over the place, all over.
He's got mental illness, and I got to tell you something. While he might be good at manipulating the media, Donald Trump's not a smart guy. How stupid of a person do you have to be when you're in a battleground state and you happen to be in, I believe it was Milwaukee, right? Was it Milwaukee that he was in?
He's going. They're going to Milwaukee for the convention.
Right, but he was in Milwaukee, and he said that and he said it was a horrible city, and he used that.
I think he was in Detroit, right? He's in Detroit, and that's when he made that statement.
No, he was in Milwaukee, and I believe he made that statement in calling it a horrible city, and he said we're having our Republican convention here. What a horrible city! How stupid of a person do you have to be to make a statement like that, right? Very, right? Joe Biden would never make a statement like that.
Even if he felt that way, which he probably doesn't, but it's all about class. And I don't understand these people who continuously, I see Joe Biden, if he is slow, he's also very cognizant about how to speak intellectually, and he's thinking about his thoughts before they come out, and also trying to control his very well-known stutter. So on the other side, comparing Donald Trump with his shark and battery crap is just beyond me.
Let me be. You're absolutely right, and let me just add a caveat to that. And I don't care what these right wingers say. Here are facts. Your man who you support, not you, in general, the MAGAs, you support a liable sexual abuser. You support a proven in court. You also support a 34-count convicted felon, a man who's been sued, civil lawsuits, thousands of times, a scam artist with his Trump University and so many others, a man who's attacked women on looks, a man who's attacked POWs and Gold Star families. I don't respect him because he was captured, bragged about sexual assault. This is the guy who they support. So if they want to complain about Joe Biden allegedly freezing up, which, by the way, he didn't, but even if that was true, I'll take a guy who freezes up, freezing up like a freezer, than somebody who is a liable sexual abusing rapist and somebody who is a 34-count felon any day of the week.
And someone who wants to be a dictator, has admitted such, and wants to have revenge on anybody who disagrees with him.
Damn right. Yep. Amen.
And to the caller and to Brian, I'll also add on to this, right? There are certain qualities you look for, right, when it comes to being the president of the United States, right? When you look at Joe Biden and you juxtapose him against Donald Trump, it's what? It's things like temperament, right? Is this person a leader? Is this someone who is a serious person, right, that wants to address serious issues? These are things that are I'm kind of adding on to what the caller was talking about with respect to character, right? Now, look, I understand that we've had presidents in the past that have had issues, outside of the White House or inside the White House, for that matter, in the 1990s. But what I'm just talking about, the ability to actually be a leader. And if is anybody gonna honestly, if you're really serious, and you're gonna say who is a better leader? Someone who, like Joe Biden, who has spent 50 years plus in public service and knows the political game? Or are you going to talk about Donald Trump, whose idea of leadership is just airing all of his grievances and complaining and wanting to put all the focus on himself? These things matter to the majority of us Americans, and I think it's going to play out in November of 2020.
Well, I think next week is going to be a very big day. And, this first presidential debate, hopefully there'll be another one. I hope there is. But this is probably the most anticipated and a very important debate, probably more so even for Joe Biden. Let's take back to the phone calls. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's go to Joseph, who's next up on PTL. Hello, Joseph.
Yeah, hey, Brian. First, I'd like to say that JD, Jeff, and Julie, I think of those three as the prime example of Trump University students who have failed and also got a bachelor degrees or diplomas for failing. And speaking of Trump, I can't believe he had the nerve, the audacity, and the gall to go to the Capitol after he started the insurrection and going to this church for the African Americans. And this is the same guy who, like I say, he sends the riot squad to shoot tear gases and riot shields at a peaceful protesters who are African Americans, all because he wants to put himself on the front page with the Bible, holding it upside down like a dummy, and the Antichrist rolling the one.
You're right about that. I agree with you, man. Amen. And I got to tell you, man, every single day that goes by, I shouldn't be surprised, but I am at the stupidity of so many people in this country that can't separate fact from fiction. They don't want to talk about the horrible behavior and the things that Donald Trump does and says on a regular basis, yet they want to focus on, because this is what the right-wing media wants to focus on, Donald Trump turning around, taking 2 steps, and giving a thumbs up to a parachuter who just landed. I mean, these are the people that we are dealing with, Joseph. These are the people that we are dealing with.
But Joseph, also, too, I'll put this out there. Look, it's almost like you can't tell the difference between reality and like an SNL skit. He goes to a all-black church in Detroit. Your mentality, if you're the Trump campaign, is to what? You're trying to project that you have support from the black community. So you would find any way possible, right, to fill that church with all black people.
That's true.
Right? That's what you would try to do. Instead, what happens? 95%, right, is the assessment we've basically given. It has been we're white people in an all-black church.
Chris, it's almost
this
like they
stuff
had.
is so outrageous.
It's almost
and
like they had.
hilarious.
It's almost like they had a Klan rally in a black church. That's very
It's
difficult
like all
to do.
you're trying, Brian. It's like you're trying, and to Joseph, it's like you're trying to sabotage your campaign. You know what I mean? It's like you're so inept. The Hogan Gidleys, the people that are running this campaign, are so clueless and have no idea what they're doing that it just makes us all just burst out into laughter a lot of times.
Joseph, go ahead. I'll give you the last word, bud. Then we got to go.
Okay. Anyway, just because Trump is going to get some black voters makes me think, I don't think they're not going to vote for Trump, even though Trump has that one Mr. Big Mouth named Mr. Mark Robinson, who is nothing more but an election denier, Holocaust denier, and he hates abortion.
You'll probably get Larry Elder's vote too, and Candace Owens.
Oh, he's got Byron Daniels. He's got some. He has some black. I keep going back to this. Black conservatives, right? As Joseph just said, he's going to get 15% of the vote, right? He's going to get 15% of the black vote because people are conservatives. And to Brian's point that he made on the show with Amy Tarkanian last week, there are Republicans that flat out are not going to vote for Joe Biden, right? They're just not going to. All right, even if they're Republican, they're not going to. So I get it. I don't agree with it, but I get why there are black voters that vote.
But just remember, though, that Donald Trump loves the uneducated. Joseph, you're not one of those people. Thank you for calling, and I appreciate it.
You got it.
702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's go to Brett, who's next up on PTL. Hello, Brett.
Hey, Brett.
Hey, hi, guys. How you doing?
Good.
This question might be silly, but can you guys explain to me? We all know what Trump does, what he's done. You know, he says it on tape. But what do you think is the reason why people love the man?
Sure,
I have family.
I think that's a good question.
Called personality.
I think family.
I think there's so I can't. It's going to have to be a little bit of a long answer. I'll try to do it in under a minute, Brett. But I think it's a good question. Sure. I think there are multiple different types of Trump supporters, and we've talked about this on the show. First of all, let's just be honest. If you're a staunch Republican and you're anti-gay and you're anti-gay marriage and you're against maternity leave and you're anti-abortion and you're that staunch Republican and you don't have a moral compass, meaning it doesn't matter what Donald Trump does or what he says or what crimes he commits, you're going to vote for him because he has an R next to his name. You're always going to get those kinds of people. Then you're going to get the people that know that Donald Trump is a piece of human scum, but they're educated people and they're wealthy people, and they know that Donald Trump is going to give them huge tax credits. They know that. Yeah. So they're going to vote for him. Then you have people that want to be in power, people, whether it be politicians or want to be politicians. And then you have a portion of the country that's just very stupid. And I'm sorry, I'm not saying every Trump supporter is dumb, but you have a portion of the country that is extremely stupid, and they're very gullible, and they listen to the Newsmaxes and the Sean Hannitys and the Laura Ingrams, and they believe what they hear. They think everybody's out to get Trump and the DOJ and our voting system and everything. And there's always going to be people like that as well. So I can't put a caveat into one group of people. There are groups of people, and that's the best way I can answer your question, my man.
All right, well, I definitely appreciate it because, I have friends and family that they're smart. I've known them all my life, but yet they just refuse to believe that Trump either does these things or they're just so against Democrats that they just, like you mentioned, that it's R next to his name. They're going to vote for him.
You can't. It's
you just kind of answered his own question. Brian, he answered his own question. You answered your own question. Okay, they're not going to vote for Democrats. Your question to focus in really on the question you asked, why do they love him? It's a cult of personality. Yeah. Okay, that's what it is. You got the people out there, and Brian was out there for the rally last week here in Las Vegas, right?
Klan rally.
You got the people out there that will buy the T-shirts, right? They'll roll around in their pickup trucks around Vegas or around the country with the Trump flag hanging off, the monstrous Trump flag hanging off the back of they'll be on airplanes, right? And they'll be wearing these gaudy shirts that that have the red, white, and blue, and that have all things Trump all over it. There is there's this fascination is the word I like to use when it comes to Trump that they latch onto, and it's become evident. And look, the fact is, there's millions of them out there. There's millions of Americans that act that way, and so while I suspect you, the caller, myself, and Brian definitely, we aren't in that group. We're not in the cult. So we can't really, I don't have the same frame of mind that Trumpers and MAGAs do, but you can absolutely see it. And I guess we can try to define it or try to describe it. And at times it can be tough, but it's just out there, and we just have to kind of deal with it as Americans.
Very good question, though, and I was going to ask you where you're from and where you're calling from, but feel free to call back anytime. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Again, 702-221-7283. Let's go to Dan, who's next up on PTL. Hello, Dan.
Hey, how are you guys? I always seem to call when Chris Wynn's in the building.
Nice. What do you got for us?
So anyway, I wanted to comment on or question on the Charlie Kirk situation.
Yes, sir.
I always like when these people put out, like, look, how can I be racist? I have a photo with a black guy. Or, you know what I mean? It's like, oh, look, how can I be racist? I have like 5 black people in my phone, like, oh, look, they're my friends on Facebook.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's so funny. It's like, that's not the best flex you guys think it is,
Yeah, it's not the best.
You know what I
reason,
mean?
right?
Like you're not proving anything. You know what I mean? If anything, you're swaying us the other way. Like, yeah, man, come on. Like, we all know you're only saying that because we all think you're a racist. You know what I mean? Like, it's not the flex they think it is.
No.
It's almost like, I don't know if you guys saw over the weekend where I think it was Don Jr. He's doing his like stand-up comedian thing.
Yeah.
Where he said, watch out, everybody. Everybody in this room's on an FBI watch list. And he's like, I don't mind being on that list as long as I'm not on the Epstein list.
Yeah.
Not realizing that his father is like a 7-time flight logger on the Epstein list.
That was so great.
Proven, by the way, in the Maxwell trial. By the way,
exactly.
Dan, I
Exactly.
tweeted that out. I know exactly the tweet that you're talking about. I call him Biff.
Yeah.
And I said, hey, Biff,
Yeah,
it was proven in a trial that your father was on that list 7 times. Hey, guess what? Here's a name that wasn't on that list. You ready for it? Joe Biden. But you're
Joe Biden.
Yeah, there you go.
And it wasn't a tweet.
That's
It was
part of
actually
that.
it was Don Jr. actually talking. It wasn't actually a tweet. And by the way, it's kind of hilarious because, hey, Don Jr., you're the son of the former president of the United States. Let me fill you in on a little thing. You're not on an FBI list, okay? You're the son of the president. And Donald Trump's not on an FBI list. We can find where you are, my friend. We know where you are.
They know where you are.
Yeah, you're not hiding from anybody, brother.
Well, maybe
exactly. No,
maybe from Kimberly. Have you seen Kimberly Guilfoyle lately? By the way, speaking of hiding, she looks like she couldn't even get a gig as a clown at Circus Circus. Have you seen?
She's gone into full Gollum mode.
I mean, I really feel horrible for her. I mean, she's starting to, and Sharon Stone's a beautiful woman, but she's starting to look like the last days of Sharon Stone in the movie Casino. I mean, I don't know. I'm just saying, she's not looking good these days. She was listen, I'm just saying, and I don't like to talk about looks here, but she was once a very
you are
when she was
but here we go.
When she was with Gavin Newsom, very beautiful. I mean, I don't know.
Oh yeah, no, she was a dime for sure.
I mean,
very beautiful. And then all of a sudden, the Trumps, I don't know what they do to these women, but all I'm saying now
is they bring out the best in them. Yeah, they bring out the best.
The best is yet to come. I mean, come on, let's just call it what it is. Dan, thanks for the call, my man.
Golems again. Yeah.
Thanks, Dan. Good call, my friend. I appreciate
Have a good one, Dan.
Thank you. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's go to Kava, who's next up on PTL. What's up, Kava?
Hi, Brian. How are you guys today?
Hey, good, man. Kava. What's on your mind, Kava?
So I just want to address something you guys were talking about a few minutes ago when you guys were speaking on how Donald Trump and his level of goons were going off on immigrants and others. I would just like to address this and make this statement that I fully believe that Donald Trump's statements, along with his Republican goons, have fully and completely disrespected the UN and the Latin American nations' rights to peaceful and respectful conversation, because clearly MAGA doesn't understand that what they are doing could result in the Latin American community taking it up to the UN and filing a complaint against them. So MAGA, you can keep doing what you're doing, but just be warned that Latin America could easily take you guys up to the UN and file a complaint against you guys, and possible sanctions could be coming. So just a head up of a warning.
What specifically does it mean, Brian? As far because you're talking about Latin America. Latin America is obviously a group of countries.
Right.
What specifically are you addressing as far as being disrespectful towards the UN?
So MAGA has disrespected Latin American countries, basically immigrants, as you guys know, and it's an extreme violation of the international human rights and their obligations to non-discrimination, which MAGA has done time and time again. And I see it as nothing but an escalation attempt to cause more division, as MAGA always does. And I see that it should be taken up to the UN and have MAGA be punished.
Okay, well, so let's be clear here. MAGA basically is not. It's an entity in itself. It's a political entity that we talk about on this show. Brian talks about on the show every day. That doesn't. There's no real. You can't really file or have a grievance or have any type of discussion surrounding MAGA. It's a political movement basically.
Yeah, it is a political movement, and Kava, I get where you're coming from, and I appreciate your call, Kava. Good to hear from you. 702. Thank you. Let's take one more quick call before we go to break, and boy, do we have a lot to get to in our next segment. Let's go to Carl. Carl, I got about 30 seconds for you, my friend. Go right ahead.
Sure. Yeah, Chris, Brian, you mentioned before. I think I told you before. I know how you love JD, and I mentioned the other day his initials stand for juvenile dementia. Well, with what's her name, Julie, that's senior dementia for Julie.
Yeah.
And Chris also mentioned about cult of personality.
Yeah.
Well, when a cult follows somebody, it's every dictator in the world has a cult of personality. Basically, that's their base.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you go from way back World War II to Hitler to Japan to whatever.
Yeah.
Every dictator has a cult of personality, and those are the main followers of Donald Trump.
No question. You're right, Carl. You're right. That is the base of Donald Trump. And I never categorize every Trump supporter as the same because they're all different. But the base of the Donald Trump party is a cult. I will go further and call it a clan cult. I looked at the line where he's speaking today, and it looked like a rally to go hear David Duke speak. I'm not exaggerating, folks. That's what it appeared like to me. All right, Chris, here's what we're going to do. We got a lot to talk about in the next segment. First of all, I want to address with you the Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, the foul that took place. Right. I have some strong opinions on that. I want to get your thoughts on that. I also want to talk about Justin Timberlake, who I am not very fond of. By the way, I've had run-ins with him before in Las Vegas. I will get to that. And, he just got a DUI. And what is the first thing that a wussy does when they get a DUI? I'll explain when we come back as well, because there's new information coming out there as well. Oh, yeah. Somebody won a basketball game yesterday. Gosh, I don't know who that was. Oh, I think it was a green team. We'll talk about that when we come back, too. He's Chris Quinn. I'm Brian Shapiro. It's PTL. We'll be back right after this. Did you know that 99% of air conditioning issues start with airflow issues? Well, guess what? Pioneer Air has your back. They've been operating for 20 years in the industry within the Las Vegas area, large enough to handle all your air conditioning and heating needs, but small enough to know your first name. Pioneer Air focuses on preventative care, much like wellness checks for humans. They believe in wellness checks for air conditioning and heating systems to extend the life of the system you own. So what are you waiting for? Schedule your wellness check with Pioneer Air today. The number to call is 702-831-4840. Here's the best news. Mention this ad and you'll receive 10% off. Call Pioneer Air today. 702-831-4840. That number again, 702-831-4840.
Hey, everybody, are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premier Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
Tired of the same old date night? Craving a deeper connection with your partner? O-Box is your escape into a world of romance and passion. Each month, discover a box filled with personalized surprises, exciting activities, and a love story written just for the two of you. Ignite desire, share laughter, and make memories that last a lifetime. Your O-Box journey culminates into a beautiful love novel. Ready to write the first thrilling chapter? Let the O-Box adventure begin. Visit our website, obox.com. That's OBOXXX.com and get started.
Who would have thought there'd be so many kids playing ice hockey in the desert? Jake Helps Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, founded by Gina Yusufzai 8 years ago, made it possible for families who can't afford the equipment and fees. Donate today at www.hockeyforkids.org and help us continue making a difference. Join us in supporting Jake Helps Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, where every kid gets a shot at the starting line. Just a reminder, our website is www.hockeyforkids.org.
I always like to call out the trolls. I try to do it on a regular basis. And there's this guy by the name of Charles Downs. He works for the Laura Loomer Network, or I don't know.
Oh my gosh, that woman, despicable.
Yeah. Let me tell you something. She's so bad that even the Donald Trump campaign doesn't want to work with her. So anyway, he goes on Twitter and he's defending, or X, he's defending this white boy summer stuff, and I just destroyed him. And then he says, "Oh, you work for, a terrible organization." He's trying to poo-poo. And by the way, I don't work for any organization. I work for myself. There are a lot of social media entities that use my show on their platform. And he also said I was a lefty liberal. So I responded, and I said, literally everything you say is wrong. I work for myself. I own my own content, which is true. I'm a registered independent who is very anti-Donald Trump. And I finished by saying, enjoy your white boy summer and all those Klan rallies you cover. It's noble work you're doing, bro. And then he just responded back to me. He says, "Thanks, bro. I'm doing very noble work." Nice comeback.
Are we quoting Rounders now? Is that what we're doing? With,
no, the reason
Kanish at the poker table. Yeah.
So the reason why I use the term bro is because he said when it comes to white boy summer, these are just bros that are celebrating.
Keep grinding out that runt runner, Joey. There.
Yeah.
Very noble work you're doing.
It's so funny because these people tweet at me and then they realize like a couple minutes into it that they probably made a mistake. And then they kind of give up there. But it's like this guy
probably.
Yeah. This guy tweeted at me first, and I just destroyed him, and there was nothing he could say. Anyway, some very sad news to report, ladies and gentlemen. By the way, it's not sad; it's pathetic, because Justin Timberlake is an a-hole. I've actually had run-ins with Justin. He is a dude diva, as Chris announced here before the show. He is a dude diva. He is a wussy, and he has always been somebody that I have disliked a great deal for a lot of different reasons. So. There's a police report now where JT was arrested for DUI. Now, obviously, this is serious. Anybody who drives drunk, I take it very seriously. But it's how you handle it then and how you handle it after. And we're putting up the mugshot now. So cops are saying that when they started following JT, he went through a stop sign, could have killed somebody. Drunk. Mm-hmm. He was swerving all over the road. So thank God he didn't kill or hurt anybody else. But here's what's very interesting is after they pulled him over and they said he had bloodshot, glassy eyes, strong odor of alcohol because he just came from a party. He calls his buddies. He calls his friends for help.
People.
He calls
his people, right?
Yeah, he calls his posse because Justin Timberlake isn't a man. He calls his posse, and then his friends show up, by the way. His friends show up. Now, if somebody I knew got a DUI, I'd say, well, you need to suffer the consequences. When you get to jail, I'll help you out, and I'll show up and see, try to get you out of there, whatever. But the cops need to do their thing and conduct their investigation. Mm-hmm. And they were trying to beg the officers, according to the police report, beg the officers to let JT go because he's Justin Timberlake. So let's let him go.
Well, let's dissect this, Brian. Let's dissect this a little bit. So,
let me just finish.
You understand?
Okay, let me just finish the story, and then you go and then go with it.
It's not a story. You're kind of like opining on it while you're telling the story.
So let me just finish and then take the floor. So the friends show up, and they're pleading with the cops to let him go.
Yes.
The cops. Thank goodness, great police officers who did their job, and I commend them, said, we don't care who this guy is. We're going to arrest him. He's clearly drunk, and he's going to jail.
Yeah.
So that's exactly what happened. And it appears as though no bail. Again, apparently he's going to have an arraignment in court, and he'll have to suffer the consequences. But this is serious. And I don't feel any sorrow for JT. I'm just very happy that nobody was injured or hurt.
Absolutely, no question about it. Yep. Look, I don't necessarily have the personal. I'm gonna get this from you because I want to find out the details.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily have any personal animus towards Justin Timberlake. I've had personal interactions with other members of his group, his former group, NSYNC. Obviously, I lived in Orlando. Not to drop some names, but I guess I will. I'm kind of doing it here right now. I've had interactions with other members of his bandmates. They're all good people. I've had great interactions with with Chris Kirkpatrick and the other guys in the group. I never actually met Justin Timberlake, but indeed, just give us kind of like a little bit of detail with respect to your personal interactions when it comes to Justin Timberlake and why you have the feelings you have.
I will start with the Shriners Hospital for Children's Open, which is a PGA golf tournament, and Justin Timberlake decided to put his name on the tournament, and it's a great organization, Shriners. They save lives every day, and I have a tremendous respect for what they do. So JT decides to put his name on it. Great. Even though I was never a big JT fan, he's a name. He'll bring celebrities. He didn't do anything. He was only here for the week of the golf tournament, and he had one responsibility besides playing free golf, and that was to hold a press conference. And the several years that he put his name on the tournament, he didn't even show up for the press conference. He did a Zoom from his hotel room, and it looked like he had a terrible hangover. And I said to myself, you put your name on this golf tournament. You have one responsibility to talk to the press about Shriners and why you're whatever the case may be. And he doesn't even show up.
Yeah.
I thought that was so despicable and so disgusting of him to do. And we thought, I mean Shriners and a lot of other people that I've talked to that cover the tournament, that he would bring a lot of celebrities and do a celebrity day where you can raise money for charity. I think he brought one member of NSYNC one year, and he didn't bring any celebrities, and he brought his wife, and he just shows up and he just plays free golf. And there were maybe like 40 people that showed up to get his autograph or whatever. I just felt like it was so distasteful and so cocky of him. I remember following him on the course. This was a practice round at Shriners. There was literally nobody on the golf course. There were 20 teenage girls that were following him. Yeah. Now, I wanted to do an interview for my show, and that's why I was there. I could care less about getting a picture with him or an autograph or anything. And I'm not exaggerating, Chris. There were 20 people that were following him for 3 hours on the golf course. He wouldn't sign one autograph during his round. And then after the round, I'm thinking to myself, and I'm getting angry.
Wait, did he take any pictures with all these
No!
fans? He didn't do any
That's
of that
what
stuff?
I'm trying to tell you.
Oh,
Listen to this. Wait, the story gets better.
Well, you're not trying to tell me. You are telling me.
My blood pressure gets so high. He's playing a practice round. There's nobody on the golf course except 20 teenage girls that are big fans of his.
Yeah, that's kind of weak.
They walk, They walk the course for 3 hours. He doesn't take one pic. He says, later. He doesn't say after the round. He says, later. And then I'm like, I'm talking to some of these fans like, yeah, he won't sign or take pictures. He said he'd do it after. What does he do after 18? His wife shows up.
Blitzes out of there.
His wife shows up with a cart, and he says, gotta go. I'm like, you scumbag. And I'm so glad. What does Shriners do? They did what they're supposed to do. Lovely people that work for Shriners. Yeah. They parted ways with him because he's a douchebag. That's why. He's a douchebag. And I saw it with my own eyes. I'm not saying every celebrity, every moment of the day has to sign autographs or take pictures. That's not what I'm talking about. You put your name on a charity event, sign 20 autographs, and take 10 minutes. Will that kill you? What's your excuse? So I don't think he's a good guy. Okay.
Yeah.
I agree with you. Fitzpatrick and these other guys, I've met them before.
Yeah.
They're very nice people.
Joey Fatone, good guy.
I met Joey Fatone at the Trop. Yep. Super nice guy. Justin Timberlake is a douchebag. And what does he do? I'm not defending Britney Spears here, okay? Mm-hmm. But he doesn't want to talk about their relationship. He doesn't want to talk about anything, but he decides to make money off it and write a song about it. It's like, come on, dude. And I'm not a Timberlake guy. By the way, when Resorts World, this is a recent story, their grand opening, they paid him millions and millions of dollars to show up. Okay, fine. He doesn't even stay there. He stayed at the Wynn. They're paying him $7 million to show up. You think maybe he'd support the hotel and maybe stay in a suite? What, it wasn't nice enough for you? Justin Timberlake, you're a douchebag. And you're lucky you didn't kill somebody. And the first thing you do is call your friends. Hey, guys, get me out of this one. I'm drunk. I just got pulled over. Why don't you face the music and take it like a man, you scumbag? Yes, Justin Timberlake's a scumbag.
Yeah, so circling back to that specific situation, though, obviously it's on Long Island, right? And you're from the Northeast, Brian. I'm sure you're aware of in the summertime, there's probably parties going on at those ritzy mansions there on Long Island. So he's probably coming from one of those houses. Do we know that I don't think he called his friends, right? His friends are probably leaving the party at the same time because he's under arrest. You got police officers arresting you for DUI. I don't think JT was on his phone, was he?
According to the report,
calling his friends
according
to come by?
According to the report, that when he got pulled over, he knew he was in trouble and he texted somebody.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So then, his friends probably came from that party and were trying to pull the "Do you know who he is?"
Don't
card.
you know who he is?
Yeah, which is
anyway, we beat a dead horse.
Which, by the way, if we're being honest, there's probably been situations where Justin Timberlake and other celebrities, by the way,
Marshawn Lynch right here in Las Vegas,
where they do get over, right?
Anyway,
where police officers might look the other way or actually take care of the actual person because they are a celebrity. So, I mean, I kind of get that. I'm not again.
So
I don't want this to be looked at like I'm trying to defend Justin Timberlake. I'm just pointing out that you can see situations like this transpire where celebrities get over.
I understand. I wish Justin Timberlake nothing but the worst. I think he's a scumbag. Anyway, let's move on now. This is a topic I wanted to talk to you about. It's the Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese. Anybody who knows me well knows, I have a lot of respect for Caitlin Clark and what she's accomplished. And while Angel Reese won a national championship, I don't think she's a very good basketball player. She'll go 4 for 12 from the field and maybe grab 1 or 2 rebounds. Caitlin Clark has more blocks than Angel Reese has in this season, by the way.
Wait a minute, time out.
Yeah.
Right now, Angel Reese is the front runner for Rookie of the Year in the WNBA. Angel Reese is.
So here's what I'll say to that, okay? Number one, if you look at what Caitlin Clark brings to the table just from a basketball standpoint compared to Angel Reese, I think Caitlin Clark is going to have a better all-around career.
I might agree with you on that. But what I just said was a factual statement.
So regardless of who wins Rookie of the Year, the bottom line here is that people are not going to watch WNBA games in droves to watch Angel Reese.
The reason why I said that, Brian, is because you just said that you don't think she's a very good basketball player. And I just pointed out to you the fact that she's the front runner for the WNBA
Well, we'll
Rookie of the Year.
We'll see if she gets it, but I believe she's an extremely overrated basketball player. That's number one.
Okay.
Number two, so they get into it where Angel Reese, some people are saying that she went for the ball. It was a basketball player. Other people are saying that are the big Caitlin Clark fans that it wasn't. Mm-hmm. I'm going to go ahead and say that it was a little bit of both. I think Angel Reese did try to block the ball, but I also thought in that moment, because of their history, she's like, hey, if I miss and I hit her, who cares? Just boom. So I think it was a little bit of both, and they called it a flagrant foul, which I thought was appropriate. What I am sick of is Angel Reese and her stupid press conferences after and her crybaby. She takes a page from Donald Trump with her crybabiness, bitching all the time. Let's be very clear on this. The stats don't lie if you want to talk about stats. When you look at the crowds that Angel Reese games are, you look at the average attendance. They are 3 or 4, you could look this up because I looked it up, 3,000 or 4,000 people less than any Caitlin Clark game. So let's be very clear on this. Angel Reese would be flying on Spirit Airlines if not for Caitlin Clark, okay? The reason why the WNBA is losing money again is because of all these private jets. There's a reason why Caitlin Clark, and by the way, I love Caitlin Clark. She says all the right things. She's a great role model. She's a great shooter, great player. Caitlin Clark's making less than $100,000 a year. It's because the WNBA does not make money. And in her third-year option, it's going to be less than $100,000 a year.
She makes millions more off the court. Let's put it that way.
$25 million contract, I believe, with Nike. So what I don't like, I don't mind as much what's done on the court, okay? I'm not going to make a big deal of this Angel Reese fall. Not a big deal.
Yeah.
I'm not going to make a big deal. At least I'm not. Yeah. What I am making a big deal is the stuff that's said off the court. When it's done on the court in a competitive fashion, as long as you're not intentionally trying to hurt somebody, listen, man, people are competitive. They don't like each other. I'm not defending Angel Reese, but I'm just saying I can accept that a little bit more because it's on the basketball court. It's the stuff that these players say off the court that to me is just, it's absurd. It's absurd, the statements that they're making about it. They should be thanking, I'm not talking about on the court. She's a competitor. I'm talking about off the court. Do what Becky Hammon did and Asia Wilson did. She is great for our sport. She's drawing a lot more people to the game. We're all going to benefit because of Caitlin Clark. She's a great player. She's going to have a great career. Yes, I want to beat her butt really bad on the court, but she's a great player, and this hate needs to stop. The Aces said it right. Becky Hammon said it right. These morons, I don't think Angel Reese is a very intelligent person. I've always said that about her. She says and does a lot of stupid things. Oh, I'm the victim. I'm being sexualized. But I'm going to take half-naked pictures and put them up online. I'm going to take a mold of my vagina, and I'm going to put it on my Instagram. But hey, I don't want to be sexualized. She's a moron. I'm sorry. She's a moron. Gets me angry.
Let me give some perspective, and I want to bounce this off you and get your takes and your responses, okay? So I look at this entire situation with respect to Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, and the young players, Cameron Brink, right, that have come into the league and really injected some popularity and some eyeballs onto the WNBA. I think overall, for the WNBA, this is what they want, right? You want to have people paying attention. We're talking about the WNBA more. We are. We just flat out are. So that is a good thing for the WNBA. There are aspects of it, though, Brian, that I could do without, all right? And this aspect of pitting, and look, I kind of get it because it goes back to the NCAA tournament and the whole Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark thing that was going on, and that Americans just basically were mesmerized by, right? And kind of focused on this idea of race, the white girl, the all-American, girl next door, like Caitlin Clark, and then, the beautiful black woman, Angel Reese, who's balling and who had the better team in college, but she's not the better player than Caitlin Clark. You know what I mean? This whole dynamic that really did bring eyeballs to the game. But I think it's kind of gotten out of hand here a little bit. I think we've kind of gone over the top with it. And the fact that it seems like we're focusing on it, it seems like almost every day there's something that we want to talk about and discuss regarding Caitlin Clark or Angel Reese or the WNBA that we just wouldn't do before. And so I kind of get it. With respect to Angel Reese and your look, Angel Reese, we just talked about Justin Timberlake being the dude diva, as I declared, right? Angel Reese, there's no question. She has diva aspects to her. She's a prima donna, someone who loves to have attention. Okay, there's no question about that. All right. I think she's going to be a solid basketball player in the WNBA, and I think she's absolutely going to be a benefit to the Chicago Sky and her franchise. But that being said, I think that I'm still in the camp, Brian, and maybe I'm in the minority here. Maybe this is just C-Win kind of opining on this. I'm still in the camp that this is kind of a flash in the pan type situation. I think the WNBA is getting a lot of attention here because of the likes of Cameron Brink and Angel Reese and a lot of these young players, obviously Caitlin Clark, coming into the league. I think it's going to eventually burn out. I really do. Is it going to burn out by August? I don't know. Is it going to burn out by the end of the season? I don't know. Because Caitlin Clark specifically, their team's just not very good. They're not one of the best teams in the WNBA. They're probably not going to be in contention. So I think that makes it problematic for the WNBA to keep this on the forefront. You know what I mean? To keep this flame burning, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Well, it's when people talk about the WNBA, this is the first time I brought up Caitlin Clark in weeks. I certainly don't talk about it every day. I wanted to.
Well, you don't talk. I wanted mainly a political show, though.
Well, I do sports as well, and even if all I did was sports, I would talk a little bit about it. But the bottom line here is that Caitlin Clark is good for the game of basketball. She's good for the WNBA. And the way these players are treating her off the court with the comments they make are idiotic and stupid. I do want to talk about my Boston Celtics because we only have a few more minutes left here. I will pat myself on the back because I did say non-biased. By the way, I didn't pick the Celtics to win the championship last year, the year before that, the year before that, the year before that.
I was kind of poking the bear a little bit.
I know. But
you're kind of claiming, I said all year long. You're not going out on a limb.
My comments have absolutely nothing to do with anything you've ever said. I'm just trying to make a statement here that I didn't pick the Boston Celtics to win the championship for the last 10 years. This was the first time I picked them to win it all, and the reason why I did that is because they've been there before. They had a 2-1 lead against the Golden State Warriors a few years ago. I thought that experience was very valuable. Jaylen Brown, the MVP, has proven to be, in my opinion, more valuable than Jason Tatum. And Jason Tatum's a great player.
Yeah, in the series.
But what I was really impressed with were guys like Al Horford and White and guys that you didn't expect to do what they did. Horford was at his age was phenomenal. Their defense is what won them this thing.
Yeah.
On the other side of the coin, the way the Dallas Mavericks played, Kyrie Irving was absolutely atrocious. And Luka Doncic, all he does is whine and complain. And that's what he did the entire series. And their role players were terrible. And I think Jason Kidd, while it's a great accomplishment to get to the NBA Finals, I think Jason Kidd was exposed a little bit, and he had no answers. The Celtics had a ton of weapons. Keep in mind, Porzingis was not healthy. He had a great game when he came back, but he was not healthy. He barely played yesterday, and the Celtics were still able to overcome this. Point being, somebody that nobody's really talking about, at least not unless you're outside the Boston media, is Brad Stevens. Here is a guy who is a phenomenal general manager, a guy who's done a better job, I would argue, than Danny Ainge, who won a championship there. Mazzola, good coach. I like the coaching staff, but Brad Stevens was able to put the ego aside and say, I don't want to be the head coach anymore. I want to be the GM. Phenomenal GM. How they were able to get Drew Holiday, by the way, that's when I picked the Celtics to win it all. Not Porzingis, it was Drew Holiday because he's arguably the best two-way player in the NBA. So kudos to the Boston Celtics. I see this, and I made this prediction yesterday. As long as they remain healthy, and Porzingis is going to be a question. I think he might have effed up his career, but I see this as being a dynasty. I see no reason to believe they can't win it all next year.
Yeah, no question they can repeat next year. I think that's absolutely in the cards. You hit the nail on the head with respect to the defense, big-time defense by the Boston Celtics in this series. The Dallas Mavericks, a team that averaged well over 100 points throughout the playoffs, averaged under 100 points in this series. That was a big key. And, of course, it was the likes of Derek White and some other pieces, along with Jason Tatum, obviously, and Jaylen Brown. I think it's kind of a validation, right, for Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum to finally get over that hump, get that championship. The 18th championship, Ron Shapiro. So that means they pass who? They pass somebody that has 17? Some other franchise? There might be some fans around here in Vegas that are fans of that franchise that sits now one championship behind.
I think it rhymes with Baker. I think it rhymes with Baker.
It might. Yeah.
Anyway, I'm getting, it's good to have Chris back in studio, wearing the Shark blue shirt.
I've been checking the text line. It's been back and forth.
It has. I also want to tell people to check out my website, which is pushingthelimits.live. Again, that's pushingthelimits.live. Cwin has not bought a shirt yet. Don't be a right-wing buffoon. I thought he would, but he hasn't bought one yet. Check out the merchandise on there. You can donate, pushingthelimits.live. And it's good to have Chris here. It seems a little weird on a Tuesday, though. It seems kind of strange. But anyway, thanks for being here, Chris. That was a lot of fun. Good times as always. And we'll see everybody tomorrow. Have a great day.
Hey, everybody, are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie?